Sweet. We are doing a re-recording for Juan Leija. I was in a worse studio last time. Now we've upgraded, so I wanted to get you back in here. And since I saw you last, your quads have gotten twice as big. You've lost like a ton of weight. You didn't even need to lose the weight, but you lost it, and now you're like, I would say you're like a different athlete now. So like, before we get to your background, can you describe like the transformation you've gone through recently?
So, recently I've lost 25, 30 pounds in the last like
Easy.
few months, and I think the transformation for me was just proving that I can do it for myself. Because obviously I do in-person coaching, online coaching and all that.
Mm,
But a lot of times I was just kind of, I was giving people the advice to do it.
mm.
And even though I felt physically strong and conditioned at the
You were
225,
physically
230
strong, dude.
pounds,
Don't act like you
yeah.
felt you were. Yeah.
But I knew all right, well, I've never really dialed in my nutrition. I kind of just
Mm,
go in like what I feel,
yeah.
and obviously that I was at a more of a higher calorie surplus.
Hmm.
Then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna transform my body, and I have pictures like a before picture, like it was like my last
Mm.
like I had gone like I was in Miami, I was like traveling,
Oh,
I was like
yeah.
coming here like New Year's, all that
Yeah.
stuff. I was eating everything all January, and towards the end of January, I was like, you know what? All right, now it's time to like really like buckle down
Hmm.
and like shred up. So I have this picture where I'm like just sucking, like just in the mirror, like
Yeah. Yeah.
225, maybe 230 at that time. I didn't weigh
Yeah.
myself because I don't weigh myself all the time. And then I was like, all right, I got to make that change, and I got to
Mm.
show that I can like drop weight. And
Hmm.
so all it took, man, is just like dialing in the nutrition, my zone two cardio. I'm always been a big believer into zone two cardio.
Can you describe what that means for everyone listening?
So zone two cardio, it's obviously where you can hop on a piece of a machine, a cardio equipment,
Hmm.
or go for a walk. As long as you get your heart rate zone in that 60 sub 70% of your max heart rate.
Okay.
I like to use a heart rate monitor for that because you're at that place. You're using fat for energy as opposed to carbohydrates.
Hmm.
And for me, it's always been successful for me to drop weight that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for my clients, I just walk on a treadmill. Incline walk is my favorite way.
I'm a huge incline walk guy. I
Yeah.
love it. So if I don't have a treadmill, like one of my gyms in Colombia for a month didn't have a treadmill, and I was just like, how do I replace this 30-15 minutes of walking in an incline? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just basically what I was doing is just dialed in my nutrition.
Mm.
I picked up my zone two cardio. I actually dialed back my high intensity work. So obviously
Interesting.
focusing more on like, strength training, kind of went into bodybuilding. I was kind of transitioning from doing the high roxes because, obviously I'm a little bit heavier. When I did high rocks in Houston, was it Houston? Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, in Houston, I did it. I
Mhm.
was weighing 225, and I just
That's
remember
crazy.
seeing video of me kind of just running through everything.
Mm.
And I've seen the video of like me compared to everyone else. I'm like, "Ah, fuck, I'm a fucking
Yeah,
house compared."
brick.
Yeah, yeah.
Literally.
I'm like, whoa, and I was
Yeah.
like, this is not efficient at all. Like I'm too heavy.
Yeah. Yeah.
225 is too heavy, and that kind of motivated me to drop the weight. And then yeah, like I said, but in that transition, I was going from high rocks to like more bodybuilding. I
Mhm.
love high rocks. I love the movement that they're making, but
Mhm.
it was like my body was feeling burnt out. Like I was just like
Mm.
overtrained, too many modalities. No, I would say too many modalities. I'm pretty smart with my training, but I know I had to up the running, up the intensity, and at that came the cost of like, I was feeling a little bit tight in my knee, my pec. Certain
Mhm.
things were kind of acting up, so I transitioned more into like a
Mhm.
bodybuilding strength and conditioning kind of programming
Mhm.
that I did. And zone two was one of my priorities, anywhere between 2 to 4 sessions a week of zone two.
Mhm.
Um, you know, strength training, 3 to 4 sessions. And yeah, that's kind of like what
Yeah.
got me in that weight loss. And yeah.
And are you sitting down and writing your own programs out, or like is it you kind of just go like, doing this today? Like, how seriously were you taking like pre-programming, nutrition, etc.?
So I wrote everything down. Obviously, with online training and my protocols that I kind of built for myself, I
Yeah.
like to
Yeah.
have documentation of what I'm doing. So when like a
Sure.
client, say there's a client that's at my level, because I train a lot of high performers, but a lot of like athletes as well.
Hmm.
Like, hey man, I'm trying to drop weight. I'm trying to lose 10, 15 pounds. Okay, this is what we need to do for your training. You need to get faster at running. You need to get more explosive.
Hmm.
So I have all that in like tested by me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so yeah, I'd write everything down. Obviously, there's a lot of times where like I don't feel like doing what's on program. And yeah, obviously I have something in my head that I'm just saying, you know what, I'm just
For
gonna do
sure.
this, gotta stick to like these movements and I can do it. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little bit freedom.
I mean, I can speak to your ability to just put out a program with the fuck you Fridays every time. So, are you? You're doing one at 11 on Saturday, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'll be there for that one.
Nice.
I I've been in Austin for a week 2 times this year, and I've landed accidentally both on the sweat fests. So I was not ready for Saturday, but I'm like definitely a little out of shape. But I was like, we're gonna run through it. So But no, dude, I was gonna say like we'll put a before and after on here. Maybe
Mhm.
we'll do some shorts or something like that. But like your quads were already big, you were already a jacked guy, but it's been crazy to like watch because obviously I've been traveling, so I haven't been here. But like just through your Instagram stories, just to see you like just like literally morph into this like different person, and you're still crazy jacked and still in good shape, but like it's just in a different way than you used to be.
Mhm.
And it's just weird that you had 25 to 30 pounds to lose before.
Yeah,
like it's weird.
it's kind of one of those things like Arnold would say, right? If it jiggles, it's fat.
Yeah.
So it's like, so it's like, yeah, dude, like even like right now, I'm still doing like, for me, like people are like, oh man, you're like really lean, you look good,
Mhm.
and like, how do you feel? Like I feel great,
Yeah.
and I want to do another 10-pound drop, and my body fat percentage is give or take. The machine Q had me at 8%, but it can be like anywhere between 8 to 10,
Yeah.
roughly. So I want to drop 10 more pounds, but for me, it's just like basically just to prove that I can get
Mm.
to that weight that I want to get,
Yeah.
without sacrificing any muscle and any performance, and which is
Mhm.
what I've been doing. I've still been able to maintain my muscle mass,
Yeah.
and my performance still there. So
Okay, so people listening, like, how do you do that? Because I mean, I always look at that too. Like, okay, you do bodybuilding and it's like, cool, now your cardio's down. You start running a ton. Okay, cool, now you're losing muscle. So, like, what tips and strategies do you have for somebody that like wants to like basically like have like a high rocks or like a functional body, like a Navy SEAL type body? Like, you're really strong. You're also fast. You're muscular. Like, how do you get that like perfect body basically?
yeah, and so that's one of those things where like I've trained a lot of people, thousands of people.
Mm.
I wasn't in that shape. I was a little bit thicker, kind of like more like power and strength focused.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of clients that what they wanted to do was basically just like lean out, look that part before high rocks was even a thing, right? I've been doing high intensity style training, or like what people would kind of think is CrossFit, but it's functional fitness
Yeah.
that I've been doing,
CrossFit with less like
like Olympic lifts and all that. And to each their own.
yeah.
CrossFit's great and
Yeah.
what they do, but like that wasn't my style. So they obviously I trained through a lot of my mentors. I was able to like, kind of like build this programming, right?
Mhm.
The program is like longevity. So for someone that is trying to get like that physique, obviously you can't outrun a bad diet. So nutrition is going to be key.
Mhm.
Second, you have to have your strength training sessions. You're going to be burning calories, you're going to be burning fat if you're using like obviously your strength movements, things like that.
Mhm.
And then like I said, zone 2 cardio, zone 2 cardio. I know I keep like putting it
Yeah,
about zone
keep it,
2,
yeah.
but it's just so easy if
Yeah.
weight loss is a thing. And obviously now you're trying to get speed, right? So then, I recommend, in my experience, 1 to 2 high intensity training sessions a week.
Mhm.
Like I said, you're doing your three strength sessions, 1 high intensity,
Mhm.
maybe 2, and those are just kind of like just dependent on like on mental like grit that people want to build. But I
For
think when
sure.
you overdo it, you end up injured. And I can speak from experience.
Yeah.
So I would say, do your strength training 3 to 4 times a week. You could switch one of those out for like a high intensity day.
Mhm.
Zone 2 cardio, I like to shoot for 180 minutes a week when I'm like really trying to lean out.
Mhm.
Obviously, sometimes that's tough because you're walking on a treadmill for 180 minutes.
It's
Even if you're breaking 45 minutes.
I do my Spanish when I'm doing that. Yeah, I get
Yeah.
bored otherwise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can zone out, and I'm good. How can you do that? I just zone out, but like sometimes, like I don't really want to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
So getting your zone 2 cardio in is very important.
Mhm.
Obviously for that type of physique, running, they're runners. A lot of these high rocks athletes are already runners.
Exactly.
Or they were run people with nice physiques, and then they were also running, and then they're just really good at running. So now if you're starting from scratch, obviously I use a run program that obviously from a coach that I was kind of working with online, that I just bought his program and I really liked it, and I kind of like tailored it to what I like. Cause I'm not a running coach, but
Yeah.
I do understand training. I understand, obviously been doing it for a long time. So I did what was applicable to me. So
Mm.
I think, those strength training sessions at high intensity zone 2, and then having a run program that you're kind of running like together at a time, and that'll give you that physique. I know it might sound like a lot, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but when you actually see it and like you pick, okay, this is what I'm doing, it actually works. And like I
Mhm.
said, I've seen so many people that I've trained kind of just go through that transformation throughout
Yeah.
the years, and they build that physique that they want.
And I can speak to like the intensity thing. Like I obviously while I was traveling, like it was hard for me to replicate the Onnit Funky Friday workouts. And so I gained weight immediately because I went from the same calories, but then over here I'm doing these Funky Fridays once a week, and over here I'm not. And so I totally lost a lot of muscle mass. I lost a lot of like my speed immediately when I left Austin. So I'm definitely excited for the Saturday workout because I need to get that back to it. But can we take a step back? I know we covered this when I first recorded, but obviously we're not using that. So I'd love for you to kind of go through the story of Onnit again. Just kind of like how, because I had Alex Earl in here yesterday, so he
Mhm.
obviously talked about like the, the black swan side of things too and everything.
Mhm.
But I'd love to get your side because I know you were like the first coach at Onnit
Yes.
after yeah. I'll let you tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously thankful that Onnit Gym is where it's at these days. It's had its ups and downs. It obviously took a team effort to get it to where it's at. We have like Alex Earl, you got Larry Maloney, Alex Earl CEO, you got Larry Maloney general manager, you got Danica taking care of front desk, you have Ty at sales, and you have Carlisle that oversees the coaches.
Mhm.
I do more of the marketing side of things. I do more like, social media stuff. I build program, the director of programming for the gym.
Mhm.
So that's kind of my role now. I'm not like super hands on, so it's cool because they have it.
Yeah, yeah,
But
cool.
from the beginning, obviously I started off, obviously like in most coaches, I don't know about these days, not everyone kind of starts off at a Gold's Gym or a 24-hour fitness or something like that. Well, I started off at training people just on my own. And then I went into Gold's Gym, did Lifetime for a little bit, then back
Mhm.
to Gold's Gym. And I was going to school to be a physician assistant. That was like kind of my goal. Graduated with international business, minor in Spanish. I speak Spanish, but
Mhm.
I thought it was an easy route to kind of go.
Yeah.
Wasn't as easy as I thought.
Oh, you already spoke Spanish?
I already spoke Spanish, and I took Spanish thinking that was an easy route. Like, it was hard. That's actually a lot tougher. I was like, damn, this is like proper grammar. It was like
Oh,
really tough.
yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah, got my degree. I was doing my prerequisites to go into physician assistant school.
Mhm.
Had to end there to like get into that, but then as I was kind of doing training at the same time, wasn't really making much money as a trainer because I was a student. It was kind of tough.
Mhm.
But then that point, I remember talking to Aubrey Marcus, who is the founder of Onnit Labs,
Mhm.
who started Onnit Labs, who is the guy at Onnit Gym, and he's the one that like, hey man, don't go to school because I was gonna move like 5 hours away. He goes, don't go there, like just like stick to training, man. You're really good at it.
Mhm.
There's gonna be a spot for you. Something's gonna come up,
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what, man, just start training people out of my garage. And I was like, all right, cool. So he gave me his garage to train people out of. He had like mats, kettlebells, like dumbbells, and all that. He had a gym in his place. So I was training people out of there. So I had people that I was training there. I was doing MMA at the time, training MMA, grappling, all that stuff. So I had a little bit of variety there.
Yeah.
And then that was kind of the initials that got out here, and that was like where the initial fitness stuff started. It was like when like On It was barely getting going. We're like obviously trying out Alpha Brain, Shroom Tech, it's the
Mhm.
early years.
Pre 10th Planet or
Yeah,
yeah.
pre 10th Planet. Yeah,
Yeah.
this was like man back in like 2011,
Oh wow.
20,
Yeah,
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 20,
yeah.
20, yeah, 2010, 2011, around there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like back in the day, and then from there, obviously as time went on, he let me have like his gym equipment. He moved houses. He's like, hey man, just take all the gym equipment, and then I had. Obviously I was bucking broke at the time. Like, I wasn't
Yeah,
like,
we're not
yeah.
put it.
I think we all started. I was broke during that time period. Aubrey, well, obviously was the one guy that believed in me,
Yeah.
and obviously he put a lot of trust in me and kind of like to build. So for
Mhm.
that, I'm always thankful. He put me in a position to be able to like, me and my brother to afford a house and
Mhm.
rent, and then I was able to take his gym equipment and have it in my garage. And then I was
Mhm.
training a bunch of girls out of my garage and guys too, but mainly females.
Mhm.
So I had a business running out of my garage, which was like, had anywhere between like, man, honestly, I had like 30, maybe
Mhm.
50 people
Wait, how,
max.
how are you getting your initial 30 to 50 clients? Like,
That was just me going out. Like I'm a big believer in networking,
Mhm.
going out. Obviously, like back in the day, like the way it is. Like I always tell people, like women bring other women to training,
Mhm.
and women bring men to training too. Like it's just marketing. Like
Target the women.
yeah, yeah. If you don't believe that, and you're in the fitness industry, like yeah, I don't know what to tell you. If you have a gym, focus on those women's programs. That's what I do.
Yeah, that's actually a really good little nugget there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So that happened. I was just kind of just going out, meeting the bartenders that were like in the scene. Obviously, Jenna Mays, my friend Courtney Colgrove, Melissa Lopez, Jessica, like these girls were like, they were in the scene. They're
Mhm.
highly visible.
Mhm.
So I was training them. So when people would see them, like, oh, like they're fit, they're bartenders, but they're like their arms are in shape, they're like ripped up, and they're like, hey, like what do you do for training? They're like, oh, my trainer Juan. Well, and then that's how I'd bring people. Like
Oh,
I
nice.
I would train people that were like in high visible spots. So
Nice.
yeah,
Was that intentional though, or did you just like you happened to train them and then post you learned, oh, that was really cool that worked that way?
it was a combination both.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I knew that I had to get highly visible people, and obviously that's like from like people like Aubrey or like learning stuff like that at a young. This was 13 years ago, maybe 14, 15.
Yeah, yeah.
So this was a long time ago. So
Mhm.
that I learned that through like all the marketing. Obviously Aubrey's just awesome at marketing, so I learned that. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I don't care what people think or sex sells. You know, like, yeah, like it just does. Like, you're ripped, you look good, blah blah blah. Like all that, like, you know,
Yeah.
it kind of makes for, you know, good client acquisition from different areas.
Yeah.
So I knew that, I learned that, and then I kind of just stuck that model. But I had the people training with me at the house, and then Aubrey got a new office because I was helping in the warehouse at Onnit. I was Aubrey's assistant for a little bit,
Hmm.
kind of just helping around, kind of just like piecing things together to make sure like I was on my feet.
Yeah.
Well, at that time, you know, obviously training in my garage, I was doing a good business. I was like, you know, generating a good income, you know, and then we opened up, we got the office. Aubrey did, got the office that Onnit Labs is in now. We're touring the place, and then he walks me to like the back room and kind of shows me like, hey, look, what do you think about this space? Like, oh man, that's cool. Like, man, congrats, you know, because I was helping. I wasn't like necessarily like fully on it side. I was helping,
Hmm.
and then he's like, oh man, this is your space. He's like, build a gym.
Damn. Yeah.
I like build a gym out of this. So again, I don't even remember exactly the budget. I think it was like 5K, which back then it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
to like
Yeah.
get like, you know, obviously we were making kettlebells, we had clubs, steel
Yeah.
maces. I ordered some jujitsu mats, ordered a treadmill, a rower, an
Mhm.
air bike, had kettlebells, ordered a squat rack.
That's probably fun, dude. It's like you have a certain budget, like okay, make a gym. Yeah.
Yeah, and I made it happen. Ordered dumbbells, like ordered all the necessities,
Hmm.
and then so I came on as the Onnit, like they called me the chief fitness enforcer. You know, I was like my area, I like sort of like the chief fitness enforcer. So I was the Onnit Labs trainer for the employees,
Hmm.
and I was able to train like all the people that I was already training.
Very cool.
So
Very cool.
yeah,
And then from there, obviously, like you guys have expanded a ton. Like you've got now multiple rooms. It's obviously been split up from Onnit Labs. It's now its own gym. Like, I guess, like, what's the biggest transformation you've seen since that initial kind of opening? I guess.
so obviously from like going from that room to like what it is now. Obviously, Aubrey's like, hey man, we need to open up a gym because like I was having like, you know, anywhere between like 80 to 100 people coming through like through that small space.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
I remember like we're using content, we're shooting content. This is back like I said 2011, 2012
Mhm.
when Instagram was kind of first popping off.
Yeah, yeah.
My brother was shooting content, we're shooting content. I was taking pictures of the girls. I remember, you know, one of my clients, she was training for a bodybuilding show. I was training her for it. But she was a gymnast, so she was doing handstands on one of the Primal bells
Mm.
and with the Onnit logo in the back.
Oh, cool.
And then so Primal Bell, hot fit chick, Onnit Labs in the back.
Yeah,
You know, years ago, Joe Rogan reposted that,
yeah.
and so that got a lot of traction. And like,
Mhm.
fitness was one of the ways that we can get like the supplements out to people.
For
So Aubrey's like, let's open up a gym. I didn't have the skill set to be a general manager. I was a trainer,
Mhm.
and so we brought in John Wolf. So me, John Wolf, and the coaches, my brother Sean, and Isik, and some other Christian, a bunch of other coaches. We started up. We opened up Onnit Gym,
Mhm.
and we knew it was a business. We had to make it profitable, but it was primarily a marketing
Mhm.
expense for them, which just sucked because you're like, oh man, we want to do these things, we can't really we don't have like those budgets because it's like it was just weird.
Yeah.
So you know, I think a lot of the not being successful as a gym was
Mhm.
because we were tied to Onnit Labs. It was good and bad. They funded us, gave us money because it was two different businesses.
Yeah.
So me and John Wolf kind of had our hands tied behind our back. I'm not gonna lie, you know, the Onnit Gym is successful now, but me and John just had our hands tied behind our back. We couldn't do shit. So
Yeah.
certain things.
Like you wouldn't be there without them, but they're the reason you can't.
Yeah,
next.
exactly. I couldn't like
Yeah.
get new equipment. I couldn't do these
Mhm.
things. It was like a long approval process, which I get it. You know, like it's a business. You know,
Mhm.
I'm not the head of it,
Yeah.
so I got to respect it. So that happened.
Mhm.
We had its ups and downs with the gym, and then we got acquired by Unilever. You know, so we got acquired by Unilever. At that point, I'd gone through my role as a personal trainer, turned into a coach, to a manager, to a GM of the gym,
Mhm.
and then did education. Did all wore all the hats through on it.
Mhm.
But in that time frame, the thing that happened was like we got acquired. Then I could no longer be the coach. They couldn't afford me. It was weird. It's a weird deal.
Mhm.
The way I was sponsored by Onnit Labs, but I was not like the Onnit Gym couldn't afford my salary
Mm,
because
gotcha.
it wasn't like floor. Now that they're like, all right, now we're gonna make these split business.
Oh,
You
because
guys,
Onnit Gym didn't really have like the revenue at that point by
Yeah.
itself to
Yeah,
then okay.
exactly, because now like they're trying to like make it okay. Now we got to make this a business
Yeah.
success. As you know, they got bought out.
Yeah.
So we got bought out. So then that happened, and that time frame, you know, obviously, you know, Larry couldn't afford me. Like, I get it. You know, I was like, hey man, I'll help however I can. He said, oh, I think we got it. And you know, at that time frame when I left Onnit Gym, the gym fell to its lowest members. I have the mind body screenshot. 101 members, and people were just
Yeah.
upset that I wasn't fully there and engaged in that community. I was still training people, going on doing my own thing. I get it. Hey man, you guys got this. Like I believe in you guys. Blah blah blah. But it wasn't really working out. Well, within a year, the membership had dropped off. People had complained about hey man, it wasn't the program. It's just like I'm a community leader, right? I build community. I always have from day one.
Yeah.
That's one of the things through working out, through training, through mindset.
And you were there at day one.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm always the thing that I always told people is gym is not about yeah, it's a nice gym. Don't get me wrong, but our equipment's not like bodybuilding type equipment where you get this machine that's like $3,000. That's awesome. That'll hit your pecs in this way or hit those lats, whatever. It's it's ergs, it's racks. It's like a CrossFit box, right? It's minimalist, but we have a lot of equipment. So I always knew that we weren't able to compete with these other gyms, like your Equinoxes or your Lifetime Fitness and all these gyms where they have all these amenities. So I knew that community was going to be the one thing that's going to make us stick. And, biggest thing that I always did every time after a class, hey, let's take a picture, everyone. Let's get a picture.
Yeah.
Get a picture. They would repost it. I'll tag
huge.
Yeah.
And now multiple times a day too.
Yeah. And now it's it's like one of the things that I set in the gym for something that everyone does. But it was at the beginning, I was take pictures with the girls, take pictures with the clients, all that stuff. And I always knew it was community. So
smart.
Yeah. So community was the driver to Onnit ever since day one. So when I left being the community leader, leaving, that kind of dropped off. Obviously, Larry, hey man, could bring you back on. But before that, this is an important thing that I really actually want to talk about. Jason Havey, who was the CEO of Onnit during that time, he's like, hey man, I know you're sponsored by Onnit Labs. You don't necessarily have to do anything for the gym because they're it's different.
Yeah.
But can you come on and do something for the gym? Because the energy there is just dead. It was dead in there. It fucking sucked. It was it was shitty to see because of me being the co-founder with Aubrey and my brother, but me being the seed of starting that gym. I do Aubrey did help, but I was the motherfucker that put it down. Get it started. And I know that. And so for me it hurt me. I was like, oh, I don't like to see that. And then there's all these other gyms popping up saying they're our competition. Dude, it's not our competition. Our competition's for this gym to do better. I was like, we're
gonna focus on ourselves.
There's no other competition. There's I think almost 1 million people here in Austin now. You can't capitalize on having a membership of those people, then we're doing something wrong,
Yeah, exactly.
So at that point, Jason Hayes was like, hey man, can you do something to get something kind of going? I was like, okay, cool. I'll do something. I started the women's group. So I started the women's group again, which I already had before. I was like, the women's group, I already knew, like I said, women are going to bring more women. Women are going to bring other men. It's just how it works. But not only that, Onnit it's not as masculine anymore, but it was a highly masculine audience. It was a lot of men, very little females. It was very dominant in that sense. So I was like, how can you balance that out? I did a women's group, and I did a women's group. I was like, man, you know what? I did it for free. I just did it for free. Train these women, train for free. Something for me was just get it going, contribute to the community.
To clarify, you didn't take pay, or you made the class free for them? What was that?
I didn't take pay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I just didn't take pay. I was like, I just you know what? I care about this place. I'll do this women's program for free for them.
Cool.
I'm engaging with them, helping them out. I love training people. I knew I know my programming works, and I've trained same thing, 1,000 women. So I knew it worked. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I want to provide a good space for these women to kind of just do their thing. And so I did that, and eventually started bringing more people in, more women, more guys, and just more. The membership started kind of going up slowly.
And what year was this? Sorry,
this was it 3 years ago? I think 2 years ago,
okay.
Right before Alex came on. Right before Alex came on as CEO.
2022, I think.
Yeah,
yeah. Because I joined in 2023 at the end of it.
Yeah.
And I feel right when I joined, you guys had already started picking up a lot. And then 3 months after I joined, I feel you guys just and then now it's just crazy. Yeah. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah. So it was that. Yeah. So it was that year. And then in that time frame that the gym still wasn't at the level that it needed to be the profit. One of the higher chiefs of the Onnit Labs came to me. We had a meeting. He's like, hey man, Juan, what do you think about this? I was like, what's up? He's like, we'll give you the gym. We'll give it to you. You take over it. Give it to me. Yeah, but you have to run it as a business. You have to run it. You got to make sure it's making money. It still has a name attached to it. You run it as your own business. And I was like, fuck that. I was literally my response, fuck that. I was like, I already just know how the P&Ls looked. Everything was not what I want. And at the time I was doing really well online.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, man. And then obviously Aubrey being, the founder of Onnit Labs, obviously he had the financial means. I had to go look for, obviously investors and all that. And like I said, I was just doing better online that I didn't really want to mess with that.
Mm-hmm.
And so then Aubrey took role. Aubrey hit me up before he took the gym. He was like, "Hey man, I'm thinking about taking the gym back. I want to do this if you and your brother come back on like full force."
Mm-hmm.
And then, obviously Aubrey believing in me for such a long time, I was like, all right, cool. What do you need?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give you ownership in the gym. You and your brother get ownership of it. You guys help build it up. You guys are the guys. And I was like, all right, cool. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So I immediately went into like, that teamwork of like, obviously Aubrey didn't let me down when he believed in me. So I was like, all right, let's fucking do this.
Yeah.
And obviously my brother always being there by my side. And then that's when Alex came in. Obviously Alex was a really smart businessman, him being the CEO, gave Larry a little bit more like availability to do things, not having been tied to Onnit Labs.
Mm.
And at that point, obviously Aubrey invested money into the gym. We built the sauna, the cold plunge, did the remodeling and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And and then like from that point, it was just like, for me, it was just like, all right, let's get this going. I started Fuck You Friday, really fucking started buckling down on the women's program. Like then I started charging, like, all right, now that we're in, now I'm gonna charge for the women's program.
Yeah.
These women were already bought in, so it wasn't like a hard thing of, hey, this is what the rate's gonna be, blah, blah, blah. So they hopped on. And then from there, I came back in charge of programming, so I was programming the whole gym out again, doing the stuff that I already knew, because I already knew the community. I already know all these things. So it was like, of how that environment works. So go back to it. And then, I dealt with that stuff, kind of like focus on that, let Alex, Larry, Danica, and all them deal with that other side of things. And yeah, like I said, it's teamwork that made it happen to what it is now. It's not like, it's not one person that did it, but, I'm proud to be the person that started that because not just because of like my ego, it's like what it provides to other people.
Yeah.
Like jobs, like how many coaches are there that like love the space. Some people moved here to come work here. The members that have come through there that's changed their lives. The community, they're like, it's like a really strong community, and a lot of those people now hang out. They're friends.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what I'm proud of. I'm proud of like the jobs that it's provided people, the community that has built, the friendships, the people that are friends now, that do business together, they travel together. That to me is the win.
No, it really has been like a viral effect too. Like, I mean, I was technically only a member for like 6 months before I started traveling, but like the friends I've made, the weight I've lost, like the new like experiences. I mean, it's just been awesome. And you mentioned the group class no longer being free. It's funny you said that because I told Alex yesterday, I was like, I was still at Gold's, hating my life out there, just like doing my same body build. I was so overweight. And I would come in and do the Fuck You Fridays because they were free. And I was like, cool, every Friday I'm going to come and do this. And the moment you guys charged for those, you were like, all right, no more free Fuck You Friday, which is a good idea. I became a member immediately. I was like, all right, you got me. Yeah. And it worked. And I converted, and then I brought a bunch of friends over. And like, I mean, to this day, I have a bunch of friends going to the Saturday workout, like this, to the Sweat Fest. And like, is that a community?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's open to the community. Anyone can come. As long as they sign a waiver, they're good to go.
Yeah, okay, cool. That's what I thought. I was like, wait, I don't know if they need to sign up for a membership or something like that. But no, it's just been awesome, man. Like you guys, it really is the best program I've ever done. Like the FU Friday workouts and like just any class that I've popped into has been incredible. So, how do you guys approach programming as a gym? Because I feel like most gyms, they have their coaches that they kind of let them do their own thing. So do you guys say like, this is the programming that you're going to teach your class, or do you say like, this is the base and then you build the program off of that? How does that work for the coaches?
So small groups are programmed by myself, and then Carlisle oversees it too. We work together.
Okay.
But I take lead on them, right? I take lead on building the program.
Yeah.
Carlisle obviously has a very strong influence on what we do because he's like teaching the small groups in the mornings, has insight in that. So he makes the changes that need to be done. So small groups are programmed by us. So like anyone coach that teaches small group, this is what you guys are doing.
Gotcha.
The classes, those have a little bit more freedom. Like they still have to stick to like the format that we do, which is like your joint by joint mobility, your pillar prep, your CNS, your steady state, it's like something to warm up the body, block A's, block B, conditioning, kind of a mix, and then decompression at the end. Those are important pieces for all our classes.
Do they have to send you what they're going to do for that week or that day or that month ahead of time, or is it kind of like you guys give them the base and they're like, cool, I got it, and then they go do their thing?
Yeah, they give them the base, but at first they do. Carlisle's in charge of that, so they send it to Carlisle, and then he kind of like oversees it and does it. Once they know what the hang is, we're not like super like all over their heads. You
Yeah,
know, they
for
kind of
sure.
just let them know because they're professional. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but at first, yeah, I have to oversee the programming and see how it
Mm,
looks and all that. But Carlisle does that. But
mm,
yeah, small groups are done programmed by myself and Carlisle. We test the workouts ourselves as coaches. Myself, I'm testing programming like 6 weeks in advance
mhm.
on myself or my one-on-one clients because that's what they're going for.
Cool.
But when it comes to programming, you got to realize it's hundreds of people that you're programming for in person
Yeah, definitely.
and that are doing the same program. So the programming has to be challenging for an advanced athlete,
Mhm,
but doable for a beginner.
mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
so you got to set those guidelines in there. Everyone's there working out hard and doing it, but
Mhm.
that becomes the most difficult things for most people when they're programming for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because in the past we've done it where every coach was programming their own class.
Gotcha.
It was, I mean, they're all great. No, I'm not knocking them,
Mhm.
but you know, and what showed was like everyone was coming to my classes.
Mm.
My classes were, overpacked. And the other classes had like 3 people, 4 people. So
Gotcha.
then I saw a problem there. All right, to try to work with them with their programming, this and that. People weren't really able to like stick to a plan because they were like, oh, well, I have time to take this class during this day, but this day I don't. So you're hopping in program hopping,
Gotcha.
and so you weren't really able to get results. So then that's when it was like me and John were like, all right. John was, hey, you got to take over programming fully, and you just
Mhm.
program all the classes. And
Yeah.
so I did that, and that's what's worked.
And how do you like test a program? Because obviously, like a program's a long period of time. Is it
Yeah.
like you test a day or you test a week? Like you test the whole thing, and you're like, that worked for me. Like, how do you test that?
So the good thing is like I test the whole thing.
Oh,
Like at least
seriously?
yeah, I try at least like each phase is 4 weeks.
Mm.
At least 2 to 3 weeks. Sometimes four. By the fourth week, I'm like, all right, I need to deload and like whatever. But I
Interesting.
know like what everything is gonna feel like and look like. But
Yeah.
that's why we have the coaches group that we test programming in. So I'm already doing the workouts before I even bring them to the coaches group. And then
Interesting.
when I bring them to the coaches group, now I have different like people giving me feedback, and I see how they're moving and what the challenges are and this and that. So then it gives me a better understanding. All right, we need to like make this a little bit easier,
Yeah.
make it a little bit more challenging. Did we stay within the time frame of like what the class is?
Hmm.
So yeah, test the programming.
Yeah. I will say, there's been a few times where you've written the FU Friday workout, and I've been looking at. I'm like, there's no way we're finishing that in an hour.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we've gone through it, and we're like dying, and you're like, all right, we're gonna cut it down a little bit.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
it's been a few times, but yeah, I know your guys' actual programming is like, that's crazy that you test it like that. So like you're kind of like you're like the use case for all of these, and then so then every class, can you kind of break down how many classes you guys have? So like if you're testing a program, how often is that program used once it's put into production? Like twice a day, once a day, like who uses it?
So that program is for all the classes that we have small groups. So we have
Gotcha.
6 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 12, 4:30, 5:30, 6:30. They're all doing the same.
That's the same thing.
Same
Okay.
thing. They're doing the same thing.
Interesting.
So it's 3-day programming. So obviously day 1 is Monday, Tuesday. Day
Mhm.
2 is Wednesday, Thursday. Day 3 is Friday, Saturday.
Interesting.
And then we give them like off day programming to do that kind of like goes with, well, not kind of like goes with the program
Yeah.
to get the best results. But a lot of times, people stay to that program and then they'll hop in classes and things like that, which is fine.
Yeah.
Kind of gets
That's cool. So basically I could go at 6 one day, 8 at the next day, and then 5:30 the third day, and then it might be a different coach, but it's the same program across
yes,
the board.
yes,
Interesting. I didn't know you guys did that. Okay.
yeah,
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
Why don't all gyms do that?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
That
Like,
makes a lot of sense.
yeah, I mean that's been like the biggest thing is like
Yeah.
one thing you want to make sure that people are progressing, right? People are actually hitting their goals. Every program we have 2 baseline tests, right?
Mhm.
And we have 10 standards that we do for the gym. Like we have like your 2K row, we have your mile time, you have your pull up test, overhead press, deadlift.
Mhm.
So we always test 2 of those, and then based on those 2 tests, I think obviously the programming just depends. Like right now we're doing a performance program, right?
Mhm.
I emphasize I'm getting better at those tests, but then I'll also give in like full body work. Like we're still doing legs. Like right now we're doing pull ups and push press tests for the performance test.
Cool.
But I'm still doing like single leg work, plyometrics, things like that. But we have like a goal of like what we're trying to get better at.
Mhm.
It's overall, but we want to get better at those tests.
Yeah.
So,
And one thing I mean, you guys just trained with what's his name, Brian, world's strongest man.
oh yeah, right, Hoffman.
Brian Shaw. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that like? Yeah.
Oh, it's cool, man. He's a giant. He's massive.
He's
Yeah,
so
he's
big.
massive. He's like
Yeah.
a really big human being.
Yeah.
Obviously, I followed him for a long time.
Yeah.
And just recently, I was like paying more attention to his content. Like even like before he came out, I didn't even know he was coming in.
Mhm.
I was like, damn, he's huge. It's like just a massive human being. I always knew he was being a world's strongest man.
Mhm.
And Brian Callen actually brought him in. Him and Tim Kennedy were like, "Hey man,
Oh, Brian Callen actually rents the studio.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
nice,
I
nice,
didn't know that. Yeah,
yeah." So they brought him in. They're like, "Hey, we're gonna bring in Brian Shaw. He's gonna work out with us." And in that group, obviously I have Tim Kennedy, Brian Callen, Lance Armstrong,
That's
Dakota
Lance
Meyer.
Armstrong is the crazy
Yeah,
one to me, man. It's so crazy that
yeah,
I mean it's normal to you now,
yeah,
but like I've seen him. He's been training next to me like on the bike or whatever, and I'm like, that's so crazy.
yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so it was cool because obviously you have the world's strongest man, and then you have the most conditioned athlete
That's
in the
great.
same room. Like really, and we're working out together. So it's just like,
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
and then you got Tim Kennedy, who's a fucking just a badass human
Navy
being,
SEAL,
ex,
whatever.
in the army, and also a UFC fighter,
Yeah,
just a badass overall educator.
It's
like,
crazy.
and you got Brian Callen, a comedian. So it's like,
You got Ashley, who's crazy.
yeah, and then Ashley and Mike. They're athletes. They're CrossFit athletes.
Yeah.
They're super fast.
High Rocks athletes now, crushing.
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
They're going to Worlds.
Yeah, they're going to Worlds. Yeah, so that's awesome. Yeah, they're
yeah.
fucking fast. Yeah,
I know.
they're-
Yeah,
yeah, they're really fast.
Yeah,
They run
yeah.
quick. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was cool, man, having him there. Obviously, he's doing a lot of arm wrestling, so he was dealing with some like tendonitis.
Was that what he's doing now?
Yeah, he was doing some arm wrestling
Oh,
stuff.
cool.
But I put him through the mobility work that we do, like we're doing stuff. He was doing it, man. He was like, it was game for everything. Like it just showed that why he's at the level that he's at, because he was open to everything that we're doing. Obviously, there were certain things he couldn't do because it was like flaring up his elbow.
Yeah.
But I get it. But he did everything that he could do without like risking more injury. But he crushed it on the skier,
Really?
lifting a kettlebell like nothing. I like at one point we're like doing like like a team finisher,
Yeah.
racing on the bike. He's cranking out like the bike like crazy, just so much power. So it's just cool to see like humans that are like that.
I
Like
can imagine him grabbing the skier and his hand just like
yeah, rough.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's so crazy, man. Who's been like? I mean, is it probably Lance, like the craziest person that you've trained? Just just from like a you've seen
Mindset?
life, like mindset, kind of like yeah.
So I was a huge Lance Armstrong like a fan, like growing up. Like obviously his biking, or obviously his career, everything was like super motivational growing up. Obviously being from Austin, like it was everywhere. But for me, it was like when he went from like bodybuilding type training, and I was like training MMA. Like bodybuilding doesn't work for MMA. This is back in 2003. So Lance Armstrong was the person that was doing that functional fitness, high conditioning stuff. So one of my friends, Roger Huerta, who was a UFC fighter, one of the early UFC fighters back in the day, he had like a book, and we're like look through Lance's training and stuff like that, see things and use those things. So Lance has been like, obviously he's like a friend now. It's kind of crazy, but like it's just like he was definitely someone that like I always like looked up to in the endurance role. Like, so that was not my strength, and I was like, damn, this guy's like just can go.
Yeah.
So Lance is one of them. His mindset, they just from like training, he just has different mindset. Like he's a winner. Hey, the shows. Like
exactly.
Tim Kennedy's another one. Tim Kennedy's mindset's like, man, Tim Kennedy's, they're all great human beings. Tim Kennedy too. He's like, Tim Kennedy's just like legit. Like he's just a good person. Like he's a fucking badass, but he's legitly one of the nicest persons you'll ever meet. He'll say hi to everyone. If someone tries to talk to him, he'll talk to them.
Yeah.
He's just a cool dude. So I think, Lance Armstrong, Tim Kaine, Dakota Meyer, Medal of Honor winner, one of my friends, he's awesome, man. Super great guy too. It's a guy that he'll call me, we talk, we check in with each other, this and that. Yeah, man, I can say like, I mean, obviously those are three people that train with most, but it's my coaches too, like Larry Maloney, he's a great training partner.
Episode one.
Yeah. So he's a great training partner. When he first came in, I remember he would always like, hey man, I want to work at Onnit. Hey, I want to do this. I'm like, hey man, I gotta wait. And I just didn't have a position for him, but we started him at the cafe. Like Larry worked himself up, like ran cafe, teaching classes, like he worked his way. And then it came to the deal, like he was very like numbers, like smart, and like Andrew, and like John was like, hey man, do you want to make him GM and you don't want to do that anymore? I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm in for that. It's like, as long as I could do a thing that I do. But in that time frame, like Larry's his own individual and stuff, but I was already like training at that high, like intensity training with the guys like Tim and those guys, like just going hard, fighters and all this stuff. Larry wasn't in that realm. So in that time frame, me and Larry during the pandemic, it was just me, him working at the gym. We like remodeled the gym, fucking ripping the turf, doing all the work. Like fucking it was like, I got mad respect for him because we did do a lot of work, just us two.
Yeah.
And during that time frame, we would work out. We had like a set aside time where we would work out and would go hard. And like, I was like, hey, we're doing this to hell and back workout. All right, cool. He would always do it. And then in that time frame, like, he built that like mentality of training hard. And now look at him, he's fucking ripped. He's fucking like
Oh, yeah.
conditioned, like he goes hard. But he was, I mean, me too. I was chubby. We all go through our phases, right? You get a little chubby, he was a little chubby back then. He wasn't as strong, this condition.
Yeah.
And now like to see where he's at, like it's cool. But he's a great training partner.
100%.
Carlisle too. Carlisle's a great training partner, really smart. Obviously helps me with programming. A veteran in training. He's a badass. He's strong as shit. Like fast, like all these things. So everyone in my coaches group, man, I can't just say like that, like the famous athletes are the only ones that are like an influence or like my favorite training partners.
For
because I have people that like are my coaches that I work out with, and they fucking push me because like I'm not the strongest, I'm not the fastest, but I keep a good level at everything. But they all have like something that beat me at something. Like, I have someone to shoot for, like, I'm gonna shoot for this person.
Exactly.
So all the coaches are like great training partners on top of those people.
And I wanted to ask about social media, because obviously like you and your brother and then the Onnit account as well have pretty big social followings. Like, what has been the biggest thing that's helped you grow your social? Is it like, obviously like, I mean, you had some good ideas too, like just like tagging all the girls in the shot, getting a photo after every class. Like, is it just kind of a combination of a bunch of things, or is it like day to day? Like, what's been the main driver?
Man, I think obviously my account grew a lot back in the day, and hasn't, I'll be completely honest, hasn't grown that much. Because I wasn't like consistently putting content out there, I was putting content, but not consistently.
Yeah.
Like I said, when I focused on the gym, like I put all my energy into the gym. All my posts were about the gym. It wasn't about my personal brand. I was kind of doing a lot. I still was posting workouts of me, not going to say that, but a lot of it was directed into like, how can I grow the gym? So it's not it's even though it's my brand, it's not my primary brand or my name. So didn't really grow. It's just not until recently that I've been like focused on like Juan Leija, like on me, Coach Juan.
I've seen you posting more lately. Yeah. I've seen that last few months.
Yeah. And so I'm, obviously doing online training. I work with this girl, Anna, that out of Miami, who works for Lena's, and she helps me like with content strategies and things of that nature. Yeah. Alex Garcia that also helps me, and Preston, like all these, it's a team that are helping me out.
Cool.
Now, like this last few months, I have been focusing more on that. But I think in order to grow an audience, from my opinion, as a coach, with so many people out there now selling programs. I remember I was selling programs back in 2015.
For sure.
And now everyone does it. I mean, you have a six-pack abs, and you can maybe never train a person in your life, but you can sell programming. Yeah, someone to buy it. Cool, man. Like,
Yeah.
But there's so much, I would say, I don't even say competition. There's just so many people doing it.
Distractions.
And I think now you have to like show like your personality, be more authentic. I think it's like just showing who you are, because everyone can, these days now can like swing a kettlebell or do these things or be fast or be strong. So now you got to show like what your personality is. And I think that's how my following is starting to grow again. My email list, all that stuff, really just showing like, look at me. I'm not just like this guy that can lift weight or can run fast or do this or that. It's like, no, actually there's like this recovery aspect. There's this mental aspect. There's like this community aspect, and like really getting into that like a little bit deeper. And that's kind of where my focus has been at, to like grow.
Yeah. Well, because you and your brother, like, I mean, a lot of people at the gym, and then the gym account itself, like I said, like huge following. The content's been awesome. I mean, I know like there's people that help out on it too, but like it's cool that you can like build up your own content while you're also simultaneously involved with Onnit. Like I feel like just every day I'm seeing new content of you, so that's been pretty cool.
Yeah.
How have you guys approached High Rocks at the gym? Because obviously, like, I mean, in my opinion, it's pretty much replaced CrossFit at this point. Like, not actually, but like, I don't hear anyone talking about going to CrossFit games or like competing for CrossFit. Like, it's all High Rocks. So like, and it also, in my opinion, I think it's better for the world, because like people just get hurt left and right doing CrossFit, and this is like mostly body weight based. So like, how have you guys kind of like pivoted the gym or adjusted the programming towards like a High Rocks approach, pretty much? Yeah.
So I mean, going back on the history, I remember when High Rocks first started, year one of the coaches that I work with, who's also a beast, Rain Train.
Oh,
so
I feel like I know that guy.
Yeah, he's a beast, man. He's a South African.
Is he at
Collective?
Was he at Ladder for a bit?
He was at Ladder for a bit.
I took his class one time. Yeah, he's huge.
Yeah. Rain's a beast, man. And he was the first person that like was like, hey man, you want to do this High Rocks thing? And this was like year one. I mean, we probably could have fucking placed back then because no one was doing it. But he showed that.
Wait, what year was this?
This was like when High Rocks first year was at 2018.
Oh, I thought it was like a brand new thing.
I mean, whatever the first year was of High Rocks, so like year one.
Like, dude, there's like a year or two old thing. This has been around for.
Yeah, High Rocks has been out for a little bit.
Oh, didn't
I don't know how long, but I don't know what year it was, but it was like the first year. And I remember Rain was like, hey man, let's do this High Rocks thing, and we looked at it like, it's too much running. We're like, nah, we'll pass. And then during that time frame, obviously I knew people that were doing it, and I was like, they're placing, they're doing good. Like, oh, cool. And then I said, man, we do all those workouts. I've already been programming for that stuff outside of the running, like skier, sleds, rowers, everything, wall balls, sandbags. Like I've already been doing that in my training for like since year one,
Yeah.
So then now there's this race, but we don't run. So then,
Yeah.
the first program that we did was like years ago, was a High Rocks one, and just trial and error. Like I programmed it out with the team and all that. And it was too much volume.
Interesting.
I got hurt. Like people were just burning out, and I knew that okay. I trained for this race and I never did it because I didn't do it that time because I got hurt. But I knew I was like, I have to do this. I have to prove that I can do this because the only way you're going to be able to do High Rocks training is if you're the programmer can fucking does it yourself. And so I did the High Rocks. Thankfully, during that time period, it was growing and a lot of the members were getting into it. So, hey, we're doing High Rocks, this and that. And so people actually were doing it. But then we have Gus, who's a, hybrid dude. I'm mispronouncing his. I don't know if you know Gus.
Oh yeah, I think he just DM'd me like Gus.
Yeah.
Okay,
so Gus is a High Rocks badass. He's like fucking killing it. And, he was a member of the gym. He was crushing his run times. He's just a beast. He's built for that sport in that sense of like how fast he runs. And so we brought him on as a coach. He was placing like doing really good times on High Rocks. Hey, we're gonna put him as one of the coaches. So now we had done High Rocks. We have a coach that is doing really well, kind of taking that lead on the High Rocks programming and training. I was doing High Rocks programming for the gym. So we're kind of all like hitting it from all angles. And then we're all doing High Rocks. And then we just did it with like the community. We're like, hey, man, we're all going to do High Rocks Houston or High Rocks. And then just people just started signing up.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's crazy that I never even heard the word High Rocks until like last August. I never even heard of it.
Yeah.
As it was going on for years. But I mean, yeah, it seems like I left in May and then I came back in September or August for a workout, and you guys were like already getting into the High Rocks, and it's insane to see the pictures of like the post workout back in last summer versus now, and just how much more insanely in shape, specifically the dudes are. Like women are too, but like just the six packs, like. Every dude has sick. Like Sean is so jacked. Like everyone's just so jacked now, and I don't even want to go back to Onnit now. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna be scared on Saturday. But like, it's been insane how the transformation of just High Rocks itself has changed the entire gym mindset. But like, how many classes do you guys have for High Rocks right now?
So we have we had 4 High Rocks classes, Tuesday, Thursdays at 8 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. and then the Sunday class.
Gotcha.
So we had those. So we had 5 High Rocks classes, right?
Gotcha.
And we did High Rocks programming in the small group. But as much as I love High Rocks and love that training, you can't shove High Rocks down every member's throat. Not everyone. Some people, I don't give a fuck about High Rocks. Some people are like, yeah, fuck off, So you gotta, it's seasonal now. Now we're like focusing like when it's like season of High Rocks, we're gonna do programming there. Like everyone's going to be doing the November race. So we'll start programming right outside of that for them to get ready and crank it back up. Because in the summer, people want to look good. People want to like do more like bodybuilding style training or performance, more aesthetics. And no wonder, obviously High Rocks does get you really ripped if you already have a good base. If you're starting out like day one or like, even like beginner, maybe even intermediate, and you don't have like a good muscle base,
just, like, lose weight.
You just lose weight. You look like shit. So I mean, this is what it is. Like all these people that do High Rocks are fucking ripped. They're already fucking in shape. It's like myself included. Like I already had a bunch of muscle mass. I'm running more now. I'm leaning out, but yeah. So we don't want to shove that down everyone's throat because some people are here for the long game, longevity. And those people have different goals. So we have to like make sure that we're still offering High Rocks, but we're still offering longevity and different style of training for other people and seasons. So that's kind of how we're approaching it. Can't shove High Rocks down everyone's throat.
Yeah.
You gotta make over 1,000 people happy at Onnit Gym here.
No. Well, you guys do a great job with that, man. And what are well, it's kind of tough. I already asked Alex this. What are next steps for the gym? I guess. Yeah.
So for the gym, I think it's just like I know we want to open up another location. That is just like that would be a nice goal just to have. And being able to replicate it is where the real challenge comes in.
For sure.
And I think a lot of people sometimes get really confident, like, oh, we're gonna open this other location, everyone's just gonna trickle in and it's just gonna work. It doesn't work that way. You need community leaders. You need people that are gonna be there, building that community, doing those things. And I'm willing to help, but like at the same time, man, I'm 40 years old. I've been doing this for over 20 years. You know, I do, you know, obviously I'm going to help the brand because I'm part of it and things like that. But, you know, thankfully we're building up other leaders in our team
For
that are
sure.
coaches that are leaders, you know,
Yeah.
because it can't only rely on like one or two people
Mhm.
that are like the front facing people like that people see.
Yeah.
So, you know, opening up another gym would be cool. You know, expanding that community, maybe here in Austin. But realistically, what excites me a little bit more is if we were to open up in outside of Austin. You
For
know, like
sure.
that to me is like a real like test. And like, you know,
What city would you want to, like a Miami or like a San Antonio? Like,
Miami. Obviously I love
yeah.
Miami.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so
Miami.
Miami,
Yeah.
but even like somewhere in Colorado or,
Yeah.
you know, places like that. Like, you know, I mean, New York's too expensive. Miami's just priced too, but New York's really expensive. But like
Yeah.
another big city, and like I think to me that's the real challenge, the real test of like,
Yeah.
can you make this pop off? You know?
Yeah. I just had Daniel with Lift ATX on this morning, and like
Mm,
he's in the same. I mean, it's funny. You guys both have one location that crushes community, and you're both like, do we do another location or do we just keep growing this one? So,
yeah.
yeah, you know, he's in the same boat. But I mean, y'all have crushed it, man. It's my favorite gym I've ever been to. Like, it's just absolutely incredible. And yeah, I mean, I appreciate you coming back on for another episode. So, yeah, good to see you again.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah,
for having
thanks,
me.
up, man.
Yeah.
And there we go.